Duccio, thank you so much for your time and coming on the podcast today.
Thank you all. Thank you for inviting. I'm happy to share whatever will come up in this beautiful call.
Super. So if it's okay to start off with, to just talk us around your background and how you got into Psych-K.
So originally, I am an osteopath. So I really loved everything that's connected to health and well-being. And I was always being curious about the connection between mind and body and how our mind could affect our body. And I met one doctor who talked to me about an approach that's called German New Medicine. That's very interesting because it connects what happens in our life that can be experienced as traumatic and how this stressful traumatic experience can activate an area in our brain and an area in our body. And I wanted to know more. So I attended this 2 years training in this beautiful approach that gave me a lot of information, but I missed the tool to help people because I was very good in identifying all the stressful moments that can be in our job, in our life, in our relationships. So when someone told me, oh, I have this symptom, and I was very good in asking the person, okay, did this happen, or was a conflict with your mother or with your father or at your job? And when we knew everything about the conflict and everything about the biology, but I missed the tool to help people. So a doctor who was attending this workshop with me, this training with me, because it was 2 years training, told me, Duccio, you may be interested in this book. And he gave me the Biology of Belief of Dr. Bruce Lipton. I read it in a couple of days because it completely got me. Oh my God. I started reading the Biology of Belief. And if you have not read it yet, I strongly suggest you to read it. It's such an amazing book. And at the end of this book, I saw the word Psych-K as oh wow, this is what I need. This is what I need. I knew. So I was looking for the first workshop in Europe. I attended the basic workshop, Psych-K basic workshop, and then immediately an advanced workshop in Brussels. And then my life completely changed. I started to apply Psych-K first to myself and my life because I had a lot to do, a lot of personal work to do first, okay? And I'm still going on. And it was beautiful because after a couple of years of deep work with myself and start working gently with people, I was able to really see the potential and the power of Psych-K applied to the health and well-being field. So the power of our mind and how our mind can affect our body. And this is how I got completely absorbed and drawn to Psych-K because it's such a beautiful methodology. It's such a beautiful way to approach life and to understand life. And for me, it's so important that in 2013, at the end of 2013, I decided to stop my osteopathic practice and to dedicate my life 100% to Psych-K. Even if I still love osteopathy, but not enough time.
So we've interviewed Robin Graham on a previous podcast and I've spoken around Psych-K, but for somebody that's watching this is the first episode that they've watched for Upgraded Executive. Can you just frame what Psych-K is and how it's come about?
So Psych-K is a beautiful methodology that allows you to work gently and effectively with your subconscious mind so that you are able to identify all the limiting subconscious belief that you have and that are not allowing you to live and experience the life you want to have. And once you have identified them, through Psych-K, you can change them. For example, If for any reason you were born with a program, with a subconscious belief, that's a subconscious program, that it is, I hate myself, and you experience all your life about hating yourself because it is what you have learned from your family, from society. At a certain point, you start to be tired about this program because you see that your life is very heavy if you hate yourself. Through Psych-K, you're able to identify this limiting program, this limiting subconscious belief, and to gently and yet in a very powerful and safe way to transform it in what you want instead. For example, I love myself, or I accept myself, whatever you want instead. And the beauty is that you can change any subconscious belief, any subconscious belief, and also change the perception of stressful or traumatic event that happened into your life in the past, or that you're worried about in the future. So it's a kind of, in some ways, a kind of mind time travel also that you can do with Psych-K.
So what differences did you notice on yourself? You know, you said you did deep work when you got into Psych-K. What outcomes did you see?
I think we don't have enough time to in this interview to share, because wow, when I discovered this beautiful tool that gives you all the keys to discover what's not going well in your life first, okay? Because I've seen that teaching Psych-K, many people ask, okay, but how can I discover my limiting belief? Okay, how can I see what is not working in my life as I would like? And one way is to, okay, just observe your life and see where you're happy and where you're not happy, where you are relaxed or where you are frustrated. And also there are a couple of key questions in Psych-K that help the person to identify the most important limiting beliefs. The most important thing I think was my low self-esteem. My low self-esteem really completely changed the course of my life, because I also discovered through Psych-K that I became osteopath because of my low self-esteem. So I decided to become an osteopath so that all the clients, all the patients that I saw in one day, when they were telling me how good I was and how much better they felt after the treatment, I felt so good about that. I existed because they told me how good I was. So I needed them desperately to exist, to tell myself, okay, I have a value because they tell me that they are good because of me. But the downside of this, huge downside, is that when, for example, I saw 10 people per day, 9 people told me how good I was and I was super happy, but just one that told me I am the same or I am even worse, I immediately got in depression because I was giving power outside because of my low self-esteem, okay? And also because of my low self-esteem, I was complicating my life like a crazy because I believed, and this is very old and limiting belief that I had, that the more complicated I was, the more intelligent I appeared to other people. If I was too simple, I feared that people could maybe perceive me as stupid, as, oh, he is too simple, he's dumb. So I was complicating my life like a crazy just to show how, just to compensate my low self-esteem. So this is one. Another one, Ben, is my relationships. Relationships completely changed because for me, freedom is one key word. Okay. And I always created terrible relationships because I had the belief that I would have lost my freedom in a long, stable, long-lasting and stable relationship. So it was a nightmare because I created relationships that at the end were a disaster, so that I was able to be free and to keep my freedom. This is the secondary gain. So in Psych-K, I did some work with my subconscious beliefs to believe that I can be even more free in a beautiful, stable, long-lasting relationship. And now I have the most beautiful relationship I could ever imagine with my wife. So I married her also, and we are super happy. And I'm free. That's the beauty of perceptions. Okay, that's my work, my job completely changed also thanks to Psych-K. Now I'm not doing osteopathy anymore, but when I was doing osteopathy and Psych-K at the same time, my way to approach the person completely changed. So before it was me, okay, I am the osteopath, I know what to do, and just stay there, I will take care, okay? With Psych-K, I really realized, wow, no, it's not me. All the power is in the person. So I have to listen deeply, to understand, and then do what the person really needs, and the person will tell me, the system will tell me. So it was way more from do on to do with, okay? Or relationships with my parents. I've chosen two amazing parents that helped me for sure to work with my low self-esteem. So I have a mother that she's a great teacher. Great teacher. Because if you survive to my mother, I think you are enlightened, okay? Because she's able, she's able to immediately identify all your weak spots and to start to throw little darts or yeah, okay, yeah, that. And before this drove me completely crazy, okay, because I really loved her. I really wanted to spend time with her, and she behaved in that way. That's the only way she knows how to behave. It was so painful for me. So I was so torn because I loved her, but when I was with her, it was painful. It was sad. I don't know. It was crazy. So with Psych-K, I really changed the perception, first of all, of myself. Then I worked with the relationship with my mother. I changed the perception of my mother. And in changing the perception of my mother, I understood why she behaved in some way because of her past, because of the life that she has gone through, because of her history. She has lost her father when she was very young, so she created some programs just to survive in this life and to defend herself. But when we are able to see these things, the way we interact with other people completely changes. Okay, and these are just some of the huge gifts that I worked with Psych-K, and now my passion since a few years is my spiritual and personal evolution with Psych-K. This is my
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. One question that our listeners might have is, what's the timescale with the belief changes that you're talking around? So they sound so profound in terms of a belief system change and your perception of yourself along with others. How long did it take?
The beauty of working with the subconscious mind is that with some goals, or in some way, another way to say, to solve some problems, it takes very little time. It's very fast. With others, it may take longer, according to how much work you have done previously and how many layers you need to work according to a problem. For example, with my low self-esteem, that was one of my biggest limits. I completely changed myself and my life, and it took 3-4 years to really evolve. But if you knew me 3-4 years when I knew Psych-K, you would see a completely different person. Okay, completely different person. For example, the relationship with my mother, that another huge shift in my life. This didn't take so long. So really, because I started to work, it was really something that I needed to work deeply. So that took maybe a few months. But for example, how I started to work differently in my job, it was in few days. So I really changed my belief, and I immediately started to do that. Okay, but the beauty is that this time that I'm giving to you is not the time it took to me to reach the goal. Because when we change subconscious beliefs, we immediately reach the goal we are ready to reach. So let's say that for working completely on my low self-esteem, I had to work with 10 layers. Okay, Psych-K that I have done with my limiting beliefs about my low self-esteem, I was already a better version of me, but there was still some work to do. So I was ready for the second layer, and my life already was so much better. Then third layer, so much better, so much better, so much better. Okay, so the results are immediate. There are some subjects, some goals, some problems that may take longer to be fully covered, others that may take really few minutes. Okay.
You touched on the word secondary gains earlier. Can you just explain again to the audience what you mean by that?
The secondary gains are something that's very powerful and yet fun at the same time. The secondary gain, it is a gain, it is an advantage that we have in maintaining a problem. Okay, let's talk about the secondary gain in the job environment, because you work with entrepreneurs. So also one that may be common in entrepreneurs or with workaholic people. Okay. If someone come to you or to me to do a Psych-K session, and the problem is, I work too much, I don't have time, I spend all my time in my office, in my job, okay, and I have no time to do anything else, okay, then through 1, 2, or 3 questions that are very powerful, we may discover if behind these overworking, this stress, this, oh my God, I spend 12 hours per day in my office, there is what's called a secondary gain. If this staying in office for 12 hours allows the person to avoid maybe something that the person doesn't like. And maybe you will discover in the session that the person prefers to stay in the office even if it's stressful, because the family environment is even worse. But they discovered this for the first time. So they, oh my God, it's true. I do everything I can to be at home as much late as possible, so that I don't have to stay in the family environment that is unhealthy. Okay. Or another secondary gain, for example, I've had a lot of secondary gain and I've worked with many secondary gains about something that I've mentioned before, was that the gain in relationships, okay? So the gain for me was to maintain freedom, the overall freedom, okay? So that I created terrible relationships that at the end they were ending in the most tragic way possible, okay? Because I had the secondary gain about freedom, okay? For me, freedom was more important because it was linked to life, okay? I need to be free to be alive, to stay alive, okay? And so the gain was freedom. The problem was terrible relationships, okay? So I create terrible relationships so that I maintain my freedom. But this is just a belief, okay? I can be free only if I create terrible relationships that can end, okay? What I worked with Psych-K through a process that it is called balance was to be able to maintain my freedom, but changing the problem, okay? So I maintain freedom, I am free, even more in stable relationships, okay? So the secondary gain is an important gain that the person has in maintaining a problem. The beauty of the secondary gain, it is that it is a belief, a subconscious belief. So we just need to change the association, okay? For example, in health environment, because this is my main field, most frequent secondary gains that I see with the people I work with are related to being taken care of, being loved, being seen, power, okay? So people believe subconsciously, okay, not consciously, okay, but subconsciously, as long as I have this condition, this illness, people will take care of me. Subconsciously, they believe as soon as I'm healthy, I'll be alone, no one will take care of me. And for the person, being taken care is more important than solving the problem. That's why they keep the problem to keep the secondary gain. That's so important, okay? So one beautiful question that people who will listen this interview can ask themselves in a very gentle way without judgment is, and thinking about a problem that they have, could be, what will I lose once I completely solve this problem? So again, the question, what will I lose once I completely solve this problem? If anything comes up that's positive, oh my God, my freedom, my power, attention, love, okay, maybe there is a secondary gain.
Duccio, could you explain what happens during the process of a balance? Because I've heard Ben talk about a balance in the past, and Robin mentioned it too, but I guess for me, I don't really understand the process that somebody would go through.
The Psych-K balance is a beautiful, simple, and safe process that involves all the levels of our mind. So the conscious mind that decides the goal, okay? So if I, for example, will work with you and you come to me and you tell me, oh, I have a problem with my mother, okay? So I will ask you a couple of questions and you will come up with the goal statement, the belief, I am in peace with my mother, okay? And this is the goal. You will come up with your conscious mind, because the conscious mind is very important. It's the part of you that decides, that makes decision, that judges, okay? And this is the first step. Second, we will then muscle test with the subconscious mind if you believe or not in this goal, if you are in peace with your mother. Why muscle testing? Because The subconscious mind has these two very important tasks. One is to manage all our beliefs, subconscious beliefs and memory. On the other side, the subconscious mind manages our autonomous nervous system. So it manages our heart, our digestion, the cell reproduction. Everything that we do not control consciously of our body is managed by our subconscious mind, including the electricity that goes from our brain to our muscles. That's why the muscle test, using muscle testing, is a very effective way to dialogue and to talk with the subconscious mind. So in the balance process, we will use this muscle testing to check with a super high precision if you believe subconsciously or not in the goal statement, I am in peace with my mother. In case you do not subconsciously believe in that, we enter in the balance process. And the first step, the beauty of this process is that it involves the conscious mind that decides the goal, the subconscious mind that makes the change at the subconscious level, and what is in Psych-K called super conscious mind. That's your inner wisdom, the part of you that knows everything about you. The super conscious is a word that was created by Roberto Assagioli, who is the founder of a branch that's called psychosynthesis, okay? And a branch of psychology called psychosynthesis. And really, it's your wisdom, okay? Before moving on in changing this beautiful belief, I'm in peace with my mother, you will check with this part of you if this goal is good for you or not. That's why this is another very important thing in Psych-K, because in Psych-K, we will always check before starting the balance process if the goal is good for you, it's safe for you. If it's not, we stop. If it's good, we move on. So it's impossible to create any problem when doing Psych-K. Once we have the okay from your superconscious mind, we move on, and your subconscious mind will select the best way to integrate the goal statement that it is, I am in peace with my mother, because in Psych-K we have many different ways to integrate goals, okay, that are called balances. And there are a lot of balances. In the basic workshop, the participants learn 2 balances, in the advanced many more. In the health and well-being, there are 2 more balances. So the subconscious, your subconscious mind, through muscle testing, will select the best way to reach the goal, I am in peace with my mother. And then each balance, each Psych-K process has its own procedure to allow you to integrate the goal, I am in peace with my mother, in the fastest, most effective and safe way, in accessing what's called the whole brain state. That's the thing that we were talking before with Ben. So in every Psych-K balance, you will be able to work with your conscious mind, subconscious mind, superconscious mind in a whole brain state. That's why in this amazing state, in this amazing collaboration, you will be able to integrate goals in few minutes or few seconds, okay? Because you are working at speed that way, way, way faster than the speed of our conscious mind, okay? Because our conscious mind works at 40 beats per second, our subconscious mind works at 40 million beats per second. So it's way faster. And then after the whole process, you will be able to, through muscle testing, to see and to verify in a very precise way if the goal that you were working with, that was I am in peace with my mother, is integrated or not. If it is integrated, the balance is done and you celebrate. If it's not integrated, you keep doing the balance for a few seconds or few minutes, and then you test again. This is kind of overview of the process.
Thank you, Duccio. Let's go on to the health and wellness program, discuss that and how it works practically for people. I'd love to talk around the story of your thumb at some point during this conversation as well, because it was mind-blowing when you told me about it a couple of weeks ago. So if you can frame, so we've gone through in detail actually Psych-K, which is great actually for somebody that hasn't heard of this before. There's been some great examples. How does this interlink with health and well-being, our belief systems around health and well-being, and what do you do in terms of the health and well-being courses?
Like I shared a few moments ago, our subconscious mind manages our beliefs, subconscious beliefs, but also manages our autonomous nervous system. So everything that in our body we do not control consciously. Again, digestion, heartbeat, cell reproduction, lymphatic system, immune system, everything, okay, is managed by our subconscious mind. Because you may imagine that if our conscious mind would have to take care of all these things, we probably would be dead after 1 minute. Because, oh my God, I have to remember to breathe. Or also to tell my heart to beat. Oh, I also have to digest. And all my trillions of cells to change and to reproduce. So there is this beautiful part of us that does not need our conscious involvement to work. That's why we can live healthy if we have healthy subconscious beliefs, okay? Because this connection is the key. If we have toxic beliefs, very likely these toxic beliefs affect the way our subconscious mind manages our autonomous nervous system, okay? For example, if I have a situation that is very hard to digest at job, okay? You expect something in your job environment and you are there, okay, I'm expecting this, and suddenly they tell you, no, it's someone else will get this, not you. And this is so hard for you to digest. For the subconscious mind, this is very literal. So for the subconscious mind, digesting food or digesting a situation is exactly the same thing. So if a situation for the subconscious mind is hard to digest, the subconscious mind will start to maybe produce more gastric juice to digest the situation, even if the stomach is empty. And so we will start to have stomach ache or gastritis, okay? Why? Not because of something we have eaten, but because of the subconscious belief that we have and how we perceive subconsciously the event that we are experiencing in our job, okay? That's why working with the subconscious mind, with our subconscious beliefs is so important for our health. And Ben, very important, Psych-K is not a substitute of medicine. It's a beautiful complement, an amazing complement, because medicine takes care beautifully of the symptoms of emergency. If an organ is damaged, it's beautiful. And there are situations in which absolutely medicines are life-saving, okay? And sometimes we focus too much on symptoms, on just suppressing symptoms without checking what's behind that. So working with Psych-K and medicine, official medicine, alternative medicine, whatever the person believes in, could be a beautiful combination. That's why the health and well-being program came to life, because the two pillars are the epigenetic and the placebo effect, okay? And epigenetic means above genes, okay? So let's be clear, with Psych-K, we do not change our genes. Our genes are our genes, okay? I have my genes 50% from my father, 50% from my mother, and I have my unique DNA. And the same for you and everyone else, okay? So if, for example, my father had the gene of high blood pressure and I got this gene, I have this gene in me, okay? But the key point is that this gene can be, let's say that this is the gene for high blood pressure, okay? And there is a kind of veil, a kind of door above this gene, okay? So if this gene is closed, it's covered, is not active, it means that I will not express in my system high blood pressure, okay? If for any reason in my life, this door or this veil will open, this gene will start to express high blood pressure, okay? That's why epigenetic means this is the gene, this is what's above the gene, okay? So if anything happens in our life that tells the door above the gene to open, okay, the gene will start expressing. That's why it's so obvious, but people don't think about that. Why so many people were healthy for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and suddenly in their life, they manifest conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, afibrillation, skin problem, digestion problem, everything. Why? Why perfect up to a certain point and suddenly something manifests? And that's the question that we have to ask, okay? And what happened in our life that triggered this opening and manifestation of that specific gene that will create the proteins that, as a consequence, create what we call illness. One scientific proof of that can be found in all the beautiful books about identical twins, okay? Identical twins have exactly the same DNA, exactly from mother and father, okay? Perfect. There are studies of twins that were adopted by two different families, okay? One healthy family, very loving family, very nurturing family, the other way less. So fear-based, scarcity, less self-esteem. And if you see the two twins, identical DNA as adults, you will see that one is healthy, successful, no digestion problem, no skin problem, perfect health. The other one maybe would be bald and with diabetes, and maybe one will wear glasses and the other not. So why? If it's all about genes, they should be exactly the same. No, because the environment is different, because their perception of the environment is different, so their reaction to the environment is different. So finally, even if they have exactly the same DNA, the expression of this DNA will be very different between the two. That's why it's so important to work with epigenetic. And one beautiful way to work with epigenetic is through changing subconscious beliefs. And one effective way to change subconscious beliefs is Psych-K. That's why health and well-being came to life. This is one reason. The placebo effect is a very, very interesting phenomena. Actually, Rob Williams, the originator of Psych-K, doesn't like the name placebo effect because now we associate the word placebo with something that's fake. Oh, it's just a sugar pill, it's fake, okay? Actually, it's not fake at all. So Rob Williams loves to call the placebo effect the perception effect because it's exactly like that. So the beauty of the placebo effect is that it is a scientific demonstration that what we believe about something we ingest creates a physiological, biochemical activation inside our body that produces all the components that help us to stay and be healthy. For example, placebo effect is very common, for example, for headache, for some levels of pain, for depression, okay? But it's not only limited to that. There is a beautiful video on YouTube, and you can type placebo surgery, okay, in which a surgeon, an orthopedic surgeon in US, did this experiment with 3 different group of people, okay, who needed the same knee surgery. So they had exactly the same condition. One group received the real surgery. One group received only the washing of the joint, and one group, nothing, just the 2 small cuts on their knee, just to let them believe that they had received the surgery, okay? But the ritual behind that was amazing, because each patient couldn't see what was happening directly to their knee. They only were able to see a screen, okay? So the ones who received the real surgery were actually able to see what was happening to their knee, okay? The other ones, the ones who received the joint wash, and even more the group who received the placebo, was watching a recording of someone else's knee, okay? And all the doctors were recreating the environment and the same speaking and the gesture. Please give me this, pass me this, give me this, let's cut here, let's do that, let's put the stitches here again. So they did exactly the same ritual. The astonishing result, and you will see the face of the surgeon that will talk in this video, is that each group got exactly the same result, exactly the same result. So this is the power of our mind. When we subconsciously believe that something works, or when we subconsciously believe that we are taking something that is effective and powerful for us, very likely this will start a physiological biochemical reaction in our body that will produce all the chemicals inside our body, okay? Because the beauty, then, is that we have an amazing inner doctor, and we are able to produce internally all the medicines that we may need from outside. We produce cortisone. We produce it, okay? But sometimes we need cortisone when we have excruciating pain. We do an injection, perfect, cortisone. But we are able to produce cortisone internally. So if someone, for example, has an excruciating pain on the shoulder, and just for a placebo effect, for a placebo research, this person is injected with just distilled water, but they believe it's cortisone, they subconsciously believe it's cortisone, very likely their mind, their brain, will tell their system to produce enough cortisone so that the pain level will go down, okay? So the placebo effect is amazing. And there is another level, because as long as we believe there is a pill that saves us, okay, it's a sugar pill, I take it, I'm better. That's good, but we still depend on a pill outside. But if we are able to trigger this effect, this perception effect in ourselves, not because of a pill, not because of a surgery, not because of an injection, but because we are able to tell our mind what do we want, this is way more powerful. So if we are able to communicate with our subconscious mind that manages our beliefs and our autonomous nervous system, and to tell our mind what we want instead, in some way is very similar to taking a sugar pill, but without taking the sugar pill. That's why when we learn a tool like Psych-K that teaches us on how to be responsible, the most important person for ourselves. I am responsible for myself, okay? And I'm not saying you never need medicine, surgery. If you need, please go. Don't be stupid. Don't be crazy, okay? But every time you can work with yourself, with your mind, with your subconscious mind, and work with your inner doctor, with your inner pharmacy to heal yourself and to stay healthy, why not? That's why I am so passionate about this.
So finally, Duccio, what would your top 3 tips be for our audience? So how executives can upgrade their personal and professional performance?
The first thing that comes up for me is, first of all, to work with themselves. With any tool, for sure. For me, Psych-K is the tool, but for any tool that works for you, if you prefer meditation, Psych-K, whatever works for you, but work with yourself is the most important investment that you can do. Because the healthier you are, the more awakened and connected you are, the most healthy and also successful you will be. Because also going back to spirituality, when we have the aha moment, the ideas that usually do not come from a logical process, these are the moments when you allowed your system, your superconscious mind, your spirit, your soul, your inner wisdom to talk to you. So if you really want also to be successful in a beautiful and sustainable way, to find moments in which you are connected deeply to your wisdom, to your spirit. So one tip could be to also find time for yourself, for example. And because if you spend all your time working, you have not enough time to receive new ideas because you are busy. And that's one mistake that a lot of people in their job do. Okay, no, I have to work. Okay, if you work, you are not leaving any room for any new idea coming. Okay, so take some time off. Take some time off. It's healthy, and it could be for doing something fun. Go play golf, tennis, soccer, whatever you want to, work in nature, because I know you already know that when you do these things, you start having new ideas, and then apply these ideas in your job. For sure, work deeply with yourself, with anything, dedicate time to yourself. And in a very practical way, my suggestion that was very useful for me, create a morning routine, okay? Create a morning routine to start the day in a beautiful way. And that my first action step was to not look at my phone before I've done my breakfast. 0, okay? Because when I woke up, I immediately checked my phone, emails, stress, problems. My day completely turned in a very stressful way. Now I wake up, I do my Psych-K, I do some exercise, I do breakfast, and then from this beautiful energy, I start the day in a completely different way. I can check my emails, but I'm way more efficient in answering. I have new ideas, and your day will be much lighter. So these are my tips for executives and managers. These tips will change your life.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Duccio for his time and insights. Do check out Duccio on his channels. A friendly reminder, do visit www.upgradedexecutive.com, subscribe, and we will send you a special link so you can access the videos 1 week before we officially release them.